I feel like a lot of other Nintendo fans, maybe even the majority of them, may relate to me on this, but I feel like whatever opinion you have right now will anger one side of the community. Either the people who defend most aspects of the Switch 2, or the people who vehemently hate Nintendo. There's really no winning, and I know this is something that kind of pops up with most online discourse, but it's been more prevalent in the Nintendo community lately because of how controversial the Nintendo Switch 2 is, as well as Mario Kart World. And that's what I wanted to discuss. It just feels really hard to be a neutral and nuanced Nintendo fan right now. And what I mean by nuanced is that you enjoy the console, like a lot of aspects of the Switch 2, Mario Kart World, or whatever else Nintendo is doing, but you're also very critical of a lot of aspects as well, like the recent update that Mario Kart World got, the price of Mario Kart World, the fact that game key cards exist, like, different things like that. I think it's completely normal and healthy to have both positive and negative opinions on a certain thing that you like. I think that is just completely normal, but of course, on the internet, that's gonna anger different sides of the community. And I've kind of encountered it quite a lot on my recent video about the update for Mario Kart World, because I got a lot of interesting comments from both sides, either defending it or just hating me for even having Mario Kart World. But one side was saying things like, they're literally telling you that all your thoughts don't matter, but you keep buying it though. That's an incredibly abusive relationship. Just completely ignoring the fact that people have hobbies and interests, and that they just think people are just blindly consuming. And then the other side, like there was someone who said, this is the perfect meme. Completes the number of options on random. This nobody YouTuber. Why does Nintendo hate options? Basically, completely strawmanning my point of people not having as many options in Mario Kart World and putting it into a completely different context of, oh, there are more options in random now, so look at this YouTuber who's rage baiting. He's completely wrong about this. I see that quite a lot on both sides of this. So yeah, I've been getting quite a lot of weird comments, but I wanted to get into the hate/rage bait side of the community now, because this has been pretty prevalent over the past couple months. And these are the types of people who don't actually go out and try to voice their opinion to Nintendo, or try to make any effort for any good change or anything, or try to make people aware of things. Basically, all they do is search up Nintendo Switch 2 or Mario Kart World into the YouTube search bar, find the first video or live stream that they see, and put a bunch of hate and harassment comments under it, just venting all of their anger out towards just the people who bought it and not Nintendo themselves, which is just a really toxic mentality to have. It, like, if you're arguing about, like, consumer rights in pro-consumer, it really seems counterintuitive to attack regular people for problems that they have with a large corporation. But there are a few really weird sentiments that I've seen floating around in this community, and one of them has to do with the comment that I mentioned earlier, and it's that some seem to have some fantasy that fans are blind supporters to Nintendo that are in an abusive relationship because the fans keep consuming and buying products when Nintendo keeps screwing them over and making these decisions. This is a really weird sentiment about brand loyalty, and it really falls apart when you realize that most Nintendo fans are just passionate about the games that they like, which is a completely reasonable and normal thing to do. It is not even remotely comparable to people like the dreaded Disney adults or Apple fans who literally do just consume the product because they're just a fan of the company in general. That is not how 99% of Nintendo fans are. Most Nintendo fans are not really Nintendo fans. They're more fans of Mario, Zelda, Pikmin, Metroid, Splatoon. They're fans of the individual franchises. And I mean, I guess you could technically say you're a Nintendo fan if you like a lot of these franchises like I do. So it's not really about like people like just consuming the products And like people constantly falling for Nintendo's schemes and things that they keep doing. It's really just people who are playing games that they're interested in, and then Nintendo just happens to do like a lot of these like weird decisions that people who are interested in these games get affected by. It's just a really weird sentiment that people think in like Nintendo defenders are like that. I mean, there are a few Nintendo defenders who are like that, and I mean, there are some Nintendo fans who are kind of misguided, who defend a lot of things, but there really isn't that like blind support, like to the point where Nintendo is basically abusing their own fan base. That's just a really weird kind of idea to have with like all the years that I've been in the Nintendo community. It is literally not like that at all, just from the side that I've seen of it. And then there's also the other one, and this one is actually a little more fair and less toxic, and that is the hypocrisy of supporting Nintendo when criticizing them. This is the type of comment that I see the most under my videos because, of course, I have a Switch 2 in Mario Kart World, yet I also criticize them at the same time. And yeah, I, along with many others like Demeech, are an easy target for this. And while, in theory, it is true that you are supporting something when you buy it, in reality, this is more of a society should improve somewhat, yet you live in one type situation. Kind of like what the one thing that was mentioned in the Ethics of Mario Kart World video. It's really a matter of entertainment being an important factor for a lot of people. Because I think it's something that, it's not a necessity really, but like, it's still really important to people's lives. And to some people, like video games, and specifically games like Mario or Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, are some people's main form of entertainment. Because a lot of people, like I said, have different interests and different hobbies, so I think it's completely reasonable for people to be interested in a game like Mario Kart World. It really goes beyond a lot of like the anti-consumer practices that Nintendo has, because like at the end of the day, it still is a game that a large chunk of people would be interested in. And the other thing is that I don't support everything that Nintendo does. Because there are still some things that I refuse to buy, like game key cards or any new Pokemon game. I just kind of gave up on Pokemon at this point. Some may call it petty, but just in my opinion, I'm just kind of burnt out. But I don't really support everything. I think it kind of is a lie to say that people interested in Nintendo are supporting everything that Nintendo puts out, because there are a few things that I do skip. Like I skip Nintendo Switch Sports. I skip the things that I genuinely am not interested in. Another example is like the Welcome Tour for Switch 2. I was not interested in that, and I didn't want to support a $10 tech demo. But on the other hand, with games like Mario Kart World, I'm not really intentionally trying to support the decision of it being $80. It's, at the end of the day, the benefits of Mario Kart World still outweigh the costs of it. Like, with the fact that it's a fun new Mario Kart game after 11 years, I've just been wanting that for so long, so that's why I got that. So I think it's completely reasonable for people to have, like, their balance of things that outweigh the cost of it or not. If something doesn't outweigh the cost for them, they just won't buy it. I think that's just a completely normal sentiment to have. But now, I wanted to get into the defender side of it. And one big thing that I've seen that I have discussed before, but I wanted to get into it a little more in this video, is the fact that people defending the Switch 2 accuse people of being rage baiters, grifters, or just being toxic in general for just simply criticizing Nintendo. And the thing is, calling someone a grifter implies that they aren't being genuine about their criticism and are just doing it for attention and clicks. And while that is true, and I have seen several YouTubers devolve into that over the past few months, I won't name names, but there were actually a couple YouTubers that I really liked that ended up kind of going into that Ragebait-esque content. But it really isn't true for everyone. I feel like being frustrated about Mario Kart World's price, the recent update, Nintendo's zero tolerance policy on modding, or game keycards is a completely reasonable and justified thing. But that doesn't mean someone is being toxic. Toxicity is attacking other people because they disagree with you, not just simply having a negative opinion. Like, it is completely normal for someone to be a fan of something and to also be critical of it at the same time. Like with Mario Kart World, I'm really enjoying the game, but there are a lot of things that I am critical of, like the way that you unlock characters in the game, or the recent update basically taking the option for people to choose like 3-lap tracks away. I mean, that option really wasn't there much in the first place, but I'm kind of critical of that aspect, but that doesn't mean I'm like toxic about Mario Kart World or spreading negativity about the game. And I understand, I know it can be easy to say that like, oh, there's just a ton of negativity about the Switch 2. And I mean, that is true to a degree, and I do kind of agree that there is too much negativity about the Switch 2. But I still think like that doesn't really mean it's wrong for people to be a little critical about things sometimes. Like, just because there is a lot of negativity going around, that doesn't mean there isn't room for any criticism. So that's just kind of what I have to say about that. And then there's also the thing that I saw quite a lot with the Mario Kart update, and it's the fact that just because you like a controversial decision doesn't mean that others will. And this also goes for the fact that just because you aren't bothered by something doesn't mean that others won't. Like, for example, I'm gonna use a different example than Mario Kart World now. With the Nintendo Switch 2 screen, apparently there's some issue with it being like a little delayed. I don't want to get into the technical details of it because I'm not really sure what exactly is going on with it, but some people are having issues with it. And personally, I don't have any problems with it. I think it's completely fine for me, and it's been completely fine for other people, but I completely respect the fact that people are having issues with it, and I'm not defending the fact that Nintendo put in a weird screen for the Nintendo Switch 2. And this also goes for like other things. I'll bring up an example from my favorite game of all time, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. The remake only runs at 30 FPS, at least until it gets a Switch 2 update. And even though I don't really have that much of an issue with it, I mean, I would have preferred if it was 60 FPS, I don't have that much of an issue with it, I'm not defending the fact that it was 30 FPS, because some people did have an issue with it and really would have preferred if it was 60 FPS and are like waiting to play it until it gets a 60 FPS update on the Switch 2. And I think that is completely reasonable if you would have preferred the game to be in 60 FPS. So just because you're okay with something doesn't mean that it's justified. And I feel like that's something that some people need to understand. And I will acknowledge before people put in the comments like, oh, it's okay for people to prefer something. Of course it is. It's definitely okay for people to be okay with something that others won't. Like, I completely respect that opinion. And I know that not everyone who is like okay or content with something is justifying it. So I completely understand that. But there are some people who are, and I do think that is a little bit of an issue. But just overall, I just wish people would just be more respectful in the Nintendo community. I just wish people would understand and respect people's opinions more, because I can definitely understand like some of the arguments on both sides. I mean, the sides that aren't toxic, like either people being critical or people like really enjoying a certain aspect of the Switch 2. I don't want to call it defending, but like there's certain aspects of the Switch 2 that people really enjoy, and I completely respect that. I completely agree with a lot of things as well, like both on the criticism side and the people who really like certain aspects. So, and another thing, I'm not really generalizing here. I know I was saying that there are these two sides here, but that isn't always the case. Like, some people can be stuck in the middle, and they can, like, they're just, like, kind of arguing on a certain part of, like, the Switch 2 discourse and things. Like, maybe one person is really critical about something, but they also really like another aspect. So, I really don't want to generalize here either. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!